Welcome back, everyone. Now look, I'm not a politician, I'm not an expert in world affairs or the Middle East. I'm just an ordinary Brit concerned for the future of our country, and who I think many of you will resonate with. Now, in recent months, we've seen some very worrying, some very concerning and indisputable bias from the Met Police when it comes to the pro-Palestine versus Jewish community here in the UK. So let's talk some home truths for a moment. Let's look at some absolute facts, even if they might be a little bit uncomfortable. Now, we have seen blatant, indisputable, clear, unquestionable bias, sympathy and tolerance shown to those on the side of the Palestinian cause, and even to those who have supported a prescribed terrorist organisation here in the UK, in total contrast to what our law actually states. Think about that for a moment. And we have seen police officers blatantly protecting and ignoring and even sympathising with those they should have been arresting. It's called cowardly apathy at best, or, if you want to be a little bit more cynical, political policing. And we've seen the Met Police provoke and attack ordinary British people on their way to pay their respects at the cenotaph. We've seen them question members of the public for voicing their anger at terrorists supporting costly demonstrations. We've seen them target Christian preachers, and yesterday we even saw the police and a mental health official visit a man's home just because he'd voiced concerns over the terrible events in Australia. Yes, we've even got to the point where just being worried about terrorist attacks can make you a target for the police. How scary is that? And we've also seen the Met protect and ignore those on the real far right, brandishing swastikas on our streets, whilst insulting our intelligence by telling us it was all about context. Context my arse. But you see, for me, the real truth is a lot easier, a lot more simple to understand. The police are just cowards. Sir Mark Rowley is a coward. Our politicians and our media are all cowards. They're all just afraid of the wrath and the threat of the Islamic far right, because they know exactly what will happen if they tell the truth and make a stand. They are trying to keep a lid on a pressure cooker that is only going to explode one day, that's for sure. And of course, we all know that it's far easier for the police to victim blame and to protect the bullies rather than protect the bullied. It's far easier to ignore a fire than it is to try and put it out. The acts of appeasers, cowards and traitors. It's as simple as that. Now, if I were Jewish, I'd be looking to get out of this country as soon as possible. It's the same advice that was given to Jewish communities and families in Germany back in the 1930s. And back then, many of them said, no, it'll be okay. Nothing can happen. Surely it can't happen. And we all know how that ended. You see Britain in 50 years' time, or maybe even less. And of course, there's more, a lot more. We've all seen how the police have treated Tommy Robinson over the last few years, a man that has been viciously, unfairly and relentlessly targeted by the police, the Met in particular, in a bid to calm the fragile nerves, the feelings and the potential violent response of the Islamic far right. Shoot the messenger has always been safer, it's been easier, and it's been their policy for years. But even they, even the Met, and even the media are now clutching at straws as they find that mainstream politicians and moderates like myself are now repeating and agreeing with his message. You see, Tommy is a man who's been far easier to persecute than to listen to. The media, the authorities and the police have all colluded to try and convince a nation that he's just a wrong un, when in fact he's been right all along. And they bloody know it. Why do you think they keep him off your TV screens? The Met have been busy protecting terrorist sympathisers on our streets, making sure that their rights are kept fully intact. And this whilst pepper spraying a man already restrained and handcuffed after being arrested for attending an anti-Semitic parade and having breakfast. Every week we witness the police's two-tiered, anti-Jewish, anti-Christian, anti-British shenanigans, and all in their desperate attempt to appease radical Islamists in the naive hope that it will somehow all go away. Himmler himself couldn't have done a better job. And I'm going to leave you today with a message from Tommy Robinson. Have a listen. consider the evidence and forget the lies that you've heard in the media. Clear your mind, make up or come to your own educated decision as to where all this has been leading. Decide for yourself who really are the troublemakers and who's telling the lies, who's been telling the truth. More importantly, just what does the future look like for our peaceful, tolerant, hardworking Jewish community here in the UK? And a lot of Jewish people have said to me that London in 2024 is starting to feel like Munich in 1934. But don't worry, as they say, it could never happen here, could it?
So, I face a court trial next week, starting on the 22nd, which is for attending an anti-Semitism rally in London. The 22nd, I believe, is the start of Passover as well for the Jewish community. So this video is for you, if you're a British Jew, if you're living in London, if you're feeling bombarded, if you're feeling in threat, under threat, that to say you're not alone, and to say, I get so many accusations as Mossad or Zionist and paid by Israel, never received a penny, okay, from Israel, never had anyone try to influence my views, they're my views, okay. I find it important, at this moment in time, it's important. I have a voice to the British working class and to patriots across the nation. I feel it's important that they understand who Hamas are. I feel it's important that they understand the difference, that they understand there is a propaganda war going on, okay? After October 7th attacks, literally the next day, they're out on the streets across the West. We have an Iranian-funded proxy army operating and influencing the public. We have influencers who are influencing the public as well. They influence them against Israel, also against Jews. We've seen the alignment of many on the right side of politics, coming out as anti-Jew, yeah? And coming out very vocally and strongly. We've seen a togetherness, an unholy alliance of the far left, the Islamic radicals, and the genuine far right, okay? So at this moment, my message to British Jews is you're not alone. Is that when people wanted me to condemn the Jewish community, when I was arrested at the anti-Semitism rally, I totally refused to, okay? I understand that was the establishment. I understand that there are certain Jews within the establishment. I understand that that was their actions, not the actions of the average Jewish people in London or in Britain, okay? So I want to extend my support, let you know you're not alone. We're not going to stand by and watch. I won't stand by and watch. I won't be silenced because of the backlash. I have faced immense backlash, okay, for speaking out. I have been shocked, actually, at the numbers, as I guess you have. As Jews in Britain, you must be shocked at what's happened since October 7th. The anti-Semitism, the anti-Jew hatred, the mainstreaming of these ideas that's become normalised and very vocal. So literally this is just a message from me to say that don't believe what you read about me, okay? Don't believe the lies, the smears. They're the same lies being told about you, about your community, about Israel, okay? I just want to wish you a happy Passover. And my message was to say that I don't care what anyone says. I don't care any criticism to me, people making accusations to me. I don't care. I was demonised and slandered 15 years ago for speaking out and taking the right side, okay? Now everyone knows I was telling the truth. I'm being demonised and slandered now again for taking the right side. Standing with British Jews, standing against this hatred, standing against Hamas, standing against jihad is the right side to take in this conflict. People say you don't have to take a side. Yes, you do. And I have. And I'm unashamedly on the side of Israel. That's where I stand. Now, for all the accusations, I've also spoke up for years about Baluchistan. You can find videos I've made about Baluchistan. Baluchistan is the land that Pakistan stole. Full of wealth, full of minerals, full of everything. And it's been taken from the Baluch people. They've been enslaved, they've been butchered, they've been murdered, they go missing every time. And I spoke out against that, but there's no accusations that I work for Baluchistan. I spoke out about Nigeria from my very first demonstration with the English Defence League. I spoke out against jihad in Nigeria. I've continued to raise that awareness about what's happening to Christian Nigerians. Every Christmas day, the churches get blown up. No accusations that I work for Nigeria, okay? Everything is aimed at the Jews, currently. Now, even if there's a terrorist attack by an Islamic jihadist, somehow it's turned that it's the Jews, okay? My message to you is the time for sitting on the fence, the time for being fearful, it's gone, okay? It's totally gone. You cannot show fear to these people. You cannot show fear to these ideas. It is more important now to speak up. I know that. So I use my platform to speak out and speak up. And this message was to wish you all safety, wish you a happy Passover, and to let you know that the average British person is on your side. And I'll end it just to add to the Zionist accusations to your community, sending my love. Good Yom Tov, Hag Sameach. Peace and love to you all. And never back down. And always speak up.